Music is great. I think you should look out for her and follow her on Instagram and support her craft. Beautiful songs by our standards. I like it. I love it, and let's support her. Now, this morning, Ohima is telling me that she's opening a new business, and we are all going to support the business. Kudos to Gabriela Tete. She's the first person to have bought Ohima's product, and I'm excited. Women supporting women, but this one, we're not going to leave it in the quarters of just the women. We're all going to support her. So Gabi, can you just pass the product to me so I can market? Adia also has some granite paste. We need to market it for her. This is called body butter. Body butter. Can the camera zoom in a little bit so that the viewers can see the package?
Is excellent.
In this opebri, you need inkuto to inkutolize yourself, because Sally, this weather is not easy. This morning, after I finished bathing and what kind of smearing pomade on my skin, I got here and I realized that my knuckles were still white. I said, why? It means I didn't use better pomade or better cream. And so when I came here, I had to apply the. It's so gentle on your skin, you know, very, very gentle on your skin. It smells really beautifully. And I think that we have to, you know, you want me to show it? Let me show. Let the camera show. Yes. Body butter. Body butter. See, so nice. Call them on 020-9135-040. I hope I got it right. The way you have written your 4 there, I don't know whether it's 4 or 9. But 020-9135-040. Call them and place your order now. Gabi, thanks for purchasing this one. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, so we are going to touch on issues relative to Africa's development. And as you do know, sometime last week, 2 weeks ago, we had these 3 military leaders come out to say that they have exited or intend to exit ECOWAS. Primarily because, in their estimation, ECOWAS is not acting in ways which projects Pan-Africanism. And they cannot sit unconcerned without doing something about it. They also claim that they've been members of ECOWAS for over 46 years, and they have nothing to show for it. They say that ECOWAS has been the backbone of Western influence, characterizing the dilapidating nature of their economies, and the fact that everything that they touch and do does not yield positive results. And therefore, they found it expedient to walk out nicely from ECOWAS. This morning, we are learning that beyond the talk is also the walk. They have actually put words to action, and they are indicating to us that they have the support of their people. Indeed, I don't know whether you've been following events, but the leader of the Burkina Faso military junta that currently are in leadership are saying that Ghanaians must come to have conversations about importation of their produce to our country. Gabriela said it was to be expected, but I didn't expect that to happen. But you see, if you are talking tough, you must make sure that your back is safe. And because Ghana now, we are not producing anything, we are not industrialized, obviously, they have 1 point above us, and we must make sure that we have that conversation. Malians rally support for ECOWAS exit. OSP returns Cecilia Pass money. Baumia outlines vision today, and he will be at... Is it tomorrow or today?
Tomorrow.
I thought it was today. Wednesday. Oh, today is Tuesday. Oh, yeah. Okay, Wednesday. Right. Okay. So, yeah, for the first time, we're going to hear him speak, and we will learn some lessons from it. We will see how it goes. Hajia Hamdatu Ibrahim is here seated. Good morning to you, ma'am.
Good morning.
I trust you're well. She's the incoming national chairman for the CPP.
The difference is clear.
The difference is clear, yeah. CPP ought to be built, honestly. When Hajia was in power, we didn't hear some 2.3 million missing. So, Hajia, I think that one there, you have a point above.
It was only an account open to support the party.
Fantastic.
That one cry.
Fantastic.
Those who are being chased for the 2.7 were the people who were the brain behind me taking to court, you see. Anyway.
What is good for the goose?
This one there is no, it's crocodile, it's not gander.
Gabriela Tete, bonjour.
Bonjour, ça va?
Bien merci, et vous?
Ça va bien.
Bon, welcome. Gabriela is the Central Regional Communications Officer for the NDC. Miriam,
Yeah.
butterfly.
Yes,
Ebo.
yes.
Hey, the butterfly is butterfly.
Yes, we are butterfly.
Oh, but this is beautiful. I love it.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's beautiful. The
Hey.
movement is beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
It matches his selling glasses.
I'm telling you,
The whole thing is like-
it's a branding.
Black and gold, black and gold.
Alan Tremantin organized an economic forum,
Summit, yeah.
summit forum,
Okay. Yeah.
in which he outlined a few things, and I thought they were very profound, but it didn't gain the traction I was expecting it to gain. People spoke about it for like maybe a day or two, and that was it. But these, things which were said were very profound. I would give you a few minutes to perhaps maybe go through some of the things that were said, and perhaps maybe we can draw some important lessons from the things which were said by Alan Tremantin. In our attempt to build, a united front, and in our attempt to build a democracy that actually works, and an economy that is able to withstand the fortitude or the pressures of some economic turbulence, global economic turbulence, it's important that we begin to have such conversations. And I am particularly not related. I don't know who handles your media or your public relations, but I believe that a lot could have been done to continue that discussion, to continue that conversation. If you want to be the third force which will cause a great upset in our political experiment, then I believe you should do more in terms of your PR or your communication, so that everybody will appreciate the message which was put out. So I'll give you a few minutes, even though you've not paid me or the station, to give you the opportunity to tell Ghanaians what you people have for us. So let me start with you. Aja, I hope you don't mind. Gabriela, I hope you don't mind. All right.
Not
So
at all.
please, just 2 minutes.
Yeah, Kwame, thank you so much.
Right.
As I mentioned the last time,
Right.
this summit was put together by Mr. Alan Tremantin with the theme building non-partisan consensus for national economic development. And it's something that, if you like, it's been long overdue. That as a nation, we've not taken it upon ourselves to look at critical issues such as the economy and how we can make it work. Over the years, we've not, the political parties have not given us a concrete plan to serve as a roadmap for the economic transformation or development. And so Mr. Alan Tremantin, in his wisdom, thought there's a need for us to move away from this manifesto-driven, governance system that we've had for the past, if you like, 32 years. And so there's the need for us as a nation to look at how we can develop a plan.
Right.
A plan so that we'll be able to navigate our way through this economic, if you like, quagmire that we find ourselves in. So he put together this particular one, and this one is to respond to, or it's a reflection of the third objective of the movement. The movement has 5 objectives. The first one was to position Ghana beyond the duopoly. And the second one was to form a government of national unity. And the third one is to build consensus to have a national plan. So it's on the back of the third objective that this one was organized. So this one is purely to look at the economy, the economic cluster of the movement, what the movement intends to do. We have economic cluster, we have governance cluster, we have cluster on infrastructure, cluster on environment, and then natural resources, and we have cluster on social services, and also one on behavioral and attitudinal change. So the first cluster is the economic cluster. So what Mr. Alan Kyerematen did was to bring together experts, people who have done it before in terms of how we can manage our economy, who have managed economies at different levels before. So we had a session where people spoke about a macroeconomic environment. You know, the base of every economy is the macroeconomic environment, where we are talking about inflation, we are talking about interest rates, we are talking about exchange rate, the debt sustainability issue, and all that. So there was a full, you know, if you like, it wasn't like a lecture, but a full presentation on how we can solve our macroeconomic problems. And Kwame, you know, one problem you're having as a nation is that the private sector has become so weak because it is not competitive. We have people in Botswana and other parts of Africa who are taking loans at interest rate as low as 5%, 6%. In our case, our businessmen are taking loans at 30% and above. So you can imagine all of them are producing to sell in the same market. So you can imagine one can beat you in terms of pricing and quality because of the low cost of production. So it is always important to look at the economy, the economic or the macroeconomic environment within which your business people are operating. So during the summit, they proffered solutions, how we can solve the problem of inflation, how we can solve the problem of exchange rates, how what we can do to bring our interest rate down so that the cost of doing business in Ghana will go down.
And what were some of the solutions they proffered?
For example, in respect of the exchange rate, see, the point is that, you know, the exchange rate issue is demand and supply. So if you really have more dollars in the system, then your cedi can be stronger. But if the opposite holds, then your cedi is going to be weakened. So the point is that some of the points.
If you have more dollars in a system,
yes,
your cedi, the cedi tends to be stronger. But if the reverse is true,
yes,
then the cedi will plummet.
Yes. Let me use even let's take any product at all, because the dollar is a product, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you take mango, for example, anytime you have mango production, there's high production of mango, or availability of mango is very high, the prices of mango tend to go down, isn't it? Do you get the point?
Of course, demand and supply.
Yeah. So it means your cedi can buy more. Do you get the point? It becomes cheaper. In the same way, if you have more dollars in the system, it means now you are going to have the few cedis chasing more dollars.
This is theoretical. How do you have more dollars in a system?
Okay, so the point is that, you know, you can only have more dollars by exporting more, because we don't produce the currencies here, or we don't print dollars. You can only get dollars when you export more.
And how do you export more?
By adding value to your agricultural produce.
How do you add value to agricultural produce?
Yes, by industrializing.
How do you industrialize?
By taking the necessary steps to make sure that you provide the support that the private sector needs for them to be able to expand production.
Which necessary steps are you referring to?
The steps like, you know, as I've mentioned, first you need to solve the issue of the economy, because people, no matter
because
what,
the issue of the economy is not divorced from ensuring that you have a system that runs or operates on the wheels of industrialization. Yeah, but because the economy thrives on the same demand and supply that you're referring to.
So the point I'm making, but the point I'm making, you see, somebody will have to, you need to incentivize people to be able to go into production. And nobody will want to go into production when the cost of production is high.
Do you know my problem?
Yeah.
And this cuts across the board, all the political parties. You see, what you're telling me sounds very soothing in my ears, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant. But when the question is asked, how? Then you tend to still theorize the concept and you make it very abstract from what the reality is. You know, there's a judge who says intentions are different from reality. And it is only when intention meets reality, then your ability to execute is tested. So if you say that so this is how or what we should do, practically, How are we going to be able to do that? And that has always been my question, which we've not been able to answer.
But Kwame,
yes, sir.
You asked a question.
Yes, sir.
And the question was,
yes, sir.
How are we going to solve the problem of exchange rates?
Absolutely.
And I told you, you need to export more and reduce import.
Yes.
And you asked, how are we going to do it?
Yes.
And I'm saying that by adding value.
Value, yes.
Yes. And you asked me, how are you going to add value? And
It's
I'm saying,
industrialization.
but it's how. And I was
Yes.
answering them, isn't it? And I said to industrialize. And you said, how should we industrialize? And I was telling you that
take the necessary steps.
Necessary steps. And
Yes.
you're asking the necessary steps. And I'm saying that the first and foremost thing you need to do is to make sure that your macroeconomic environment is stable.
How would you ensure that your macroeconomy is stable?
That is how you deal with the issue of inflation, interest rate, and all that.
I understand.
Yes.
But the bottom line, you see, because in the series of questions that are asked, which you found answers to, the fundamental question is how you ensure that there's a stable macroeconomy in order to support that which you have answered, right? So if there's no macroeconomic stability, you cannot do that.
Yes.
So the question then becomes, how do you ensure that there's some economic stability in the country to augment the necessary steps that you will take to ensure industrialization that will add value, that will make sure that the demand and supply is achieved?
Yeah.
That is the point. That's the question I'm asking.
So on the issue of the exchange rates, I've told you to be able to stabilize and bring your exchange rate down to make your currency stronger in relation to the foreign currency is to make sure that you incentivize your private sector, the businesses, those who are into the business of export. You need to make sure that they have the environment, the enabling environment.
So essentially, because in order to incentivize people in the private sector, you must cut down heavily on taxation.
That's what I was coming to.
So you cut down on taxes,
so
right?
that's what I'm talking, the cost of doing business.
Yes, the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
but it circles back to, because if you are building an economy, you need to understand where you are to be able to take some of these knee-jerk decisions, which will play out in two folds. One, either it will now begin the circling back and restarting the economy, or it will completely collapse the economy. Because where we are now, there is no economic direction, right? So it's practically impossible for anybody to take some of these lucrative measures, but invariably may hurt the economy the more, right? So
the measures that I just mentioned,
yes, sir,
are not things that are going to hurt the economy, Kwame. The point is that if, for example, you make sure that businesses, the private sector, get reduced interest rates, then certainly they can produce more. Certainly they can employ more people. Certainly they can export more for you to get more foreign exchange. If you can reduce taxes, consciously reduce taxes, then the objective will be to bring down the cost of doing business.
All right.
And once you have a lower cost of doing business, then certainly people are going to enter into production.
Okay, thank you.
But there are three things that we also mentioned. We looked at apart from the economy, we looked at the agriculture, new agricultural revolution, where the emphasis will be on agro parks, large-scale commercial farming, and all those things. Then also we look at the tourism, how we can improve our tourism infrastructure, tourism financing, and all that. So.
But there's some interlinkage between agriculture and not necessarily industrialization, and the degradation of our forests.
Are you talking about the Galamsey issue?
Yes, of course.
And agriculture. All those issues came up for discussion.
Yes. So how do you? Well, I don't know what was said in relation to that, right? And linking it to agriculture, because right now you don't even have farmlands in this country to be able to invest huge. I don't know whether you're going to go green. How do you call it? Something housing.
Yeah, Kwame, we have lands in this country. Yeah.
Well, then I think we should go to Tamale, the northern part of this country.
Yeah, we have lands.
Vast lands not being put to good use.
Yes.
Thank you. Gabi, you may want to touch on this briefly, and Nadia will touch on it briefly. This is not your subject. Just why I'm just asking you to touch on briefly.
On their great transformational plan, or
GTP.
Oh, well, I think he set his own. Sorry, good morning to our viewers. I think he said his own. His vision is partly laudable. Partly it's difficult for them to really explain it in detail. Bachman, I'm trying to get the whole comprehensive picture that you are trying to portray. And I'm getting it in bits and pieces. So at some point I was even looking at you and smiling, but you weren't looking back at me, so you didn't notice it. You know, this whole thing about interest rates and exchange rates and all that, it's an outcome of something. Interest rates can't be artificially brought down without having consequences. So it's a whole equation that you must master. If you have a country where a government decides that we're going to print 42 billion Ghana cedis to support government expenditure, we've seen the outcome of that decision. It came out in high inflation, deteriorating exchange rates, and a country whose resources are now almost depleted. So for you to get it right, you need to go back. One thing that they mentioned that I mean, so agreement is about us going back to the basics of agriculture. Because if we're able to solve agriculture through irrigation investments, warehousing facilities, storage, cold chains, cold transportations to be able to move vegetables and stuff so it's not destroyed. If we're able to build a corpus of, at first I was also of the view that we need to invest in a lot more commercial farmers. But I've come to the realization that we could invest in some commercial farmers who will pool the small farmers along with them. But for the creation of jobs, and in some communities where we have abundant labor, we should also encourage cooperative farming, okay, to get more people. For example, His Excellency went to, was it Mion, or is it, no, Garu, 2 days ago, and he went to visit the irrigation dam that the NDC built, which is helping a lot of young people cultivate vegetables to bring down south. If we're able to turn the whole northern enclave through irrigation, okay, to produce vegetables, there's a whole market in Europe waiting for it.
Yeah.
If you look at, well, I'm sure we'll go to the Mali issue, so we can expatiate on that issue more. But if you look at what Burkina Faso has been able to do through investments in technology, research and development in agriculture and the tomato value chains. Today, Burkina Faso is the chief exporter of tomatoes to the entire ECOWAS bloc. And that is one of the consequences of the embargoes that has been placed on them. If we're able to develop these tracts of lands, the future is very bright for this country because we're able to feed ourselves, we're also able to sell what we produce for foreign exchange. Once we're able to build on our foreign exchange capacities, we're able to hold on to some reserves. It also helps with our balance of payments, and the economy starts to find its balance. But agriculture is not the only thing. There are many other areas that government could invest to help with the balance of payment and to bring stability to the economy. But it's not something that you theorize, as has been the penchant of the MPP and Bawumia. But again, that's another topic we'll be discussing. So let me hold on to that Bawumia issue.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Aja, let me hear from you. Because this, there are arable lands and there are non-arable lands. Yeah. So if you're talking about agriculture, you must factor into even where the climate, dynamics all come to play. So if you are depleting your forests.
But not just about the forest. There is a crop for every kind of plant.
Absolutely, exactly. So
when we're doing not to catch you, when we're doing the Commander sugar factory.
Yeah, it was difficult. Yeah, you had to move somewhere to get land.
And the contrary is because they didn't implement the whole thing properly. Because they had managed to get a particular species of sugarcane, which was thicker. The stems were thicker. it was able to retain more water, and it was even, and what made them excited about that particular variety, they were going to import it for us to cultivate here in Ghana. It was drought resistant, so you don't necessarily have to go planting it in the waterlogged areas. It was a kind of sugarcane grown in South America that we could grow all the way to the north, to the extent that at the time we were developing the Commander Sugar Factory, we were also looking at another sugar factory in the north, so that we could produce across the whole country and make Ghana self-sufficient in sugar. But so there's a crop. You just have to find the crop for the land.
This Commander Sugar.
Well,
Your candidate, you see, his candidate for that Commander Sugar Factory. Don't forget that his candidate who said that's the great transformational plan for that Commander Sugar Factory.
He's bringing up the Commander Sugar Factory.
Please, let's allow Hajia. Hajia, please.
Good morning to our
Good morning.
children, and good morning to you all. I think is it the presidential candidate of Afrafanto came out, I think, Friday to tell the good people of Ghana his vision for the country. And
that wasn't it. The summit was not to tell Ghanaians about his vision. It was a summit. It wasn't. In fact, he spoke. I mean, if you consider the number of.
What do you define vision?
can you? I'm surprised you are interjecting. No.
Oh no. The summit.
But is he not
I just
aspiring to be a president of this
no.
country?
Oh, Ajia.
Even if you allow me to
But the ideas that they shared, are they divorced from his vision?
No.
Because that's a great transformational plan.
You see,
and in the great transformation, you outlined 4 pillars or 3 pillars.
No.
One of such is
okay.
So Hajia, proceed. Don't mind. Don't mind Abu Bakman.
that you are
You mentioned the 4 thematic areas.
You
One of them is
and
this.
then you are
symposium.
telling the good people of Ghana what you think maybe if they follow, Ghana will transform.
That's all.
Yes or no?
Simple as
Yes
that.
or no? Yes.
Ajia, carry on.
So therefore, that is his vision. That is how he thinks, maybe if it is non-partisan. Meanwhile, you just came from the elephant den. So people will look at the whole thing as partisan, whether we like it or not. So I was expecting maybe my Uncle Alan is not contesting. You understand? When he brings out this vision, I said, this is what I think if Ghana follows, but I'm not contesting. People will not read meanings into it, whether we like it or not. But now you are telling the good people, and I appreciate the fact that he has been able to come out with his vision. It is left with Ghanaians to see whether they'll buy into that vision or not. And I'm of the view that it is good that we have a plan as a country. Last week, I think we spoke about it. We need a plan. Without a plan, a developmental agenda, it will be difficult because when NDC were in power, I think you brought the 40-year development plan.
Have the plan.
Yes, and then MPP also came and brought Vision 15 during Kufuor's era. And now
It was Vision 2020.
2020 was
Rawlings, but something.
Kufuor also had one.
You see, so therefore,
They had one.
if we all understand and know that we really need a plan, we can come together. As I said last week, Kwame Nkrumah had 7-year development plan, 5, and just 9 years, he was able to transform the country. But we are from 1992 till today. We are talking about lack of adequate water, lack of food, transportation, everything. If not, how can Burkina Faso even threaten that if we don't come and sit with them and talk, they will stop the importation of goods, some edibles from their country? So which means there's something wrong with our economy. So fine, it is good. It's a nice idea that is, I can call him His Excellency because he has been an ambassador before to UK, Alan Chermantin, that he has brought his vision. Me, if somebody is saying something, I'll only listen and pick all the necessary advantages in the person's presentation. Because who knows who will become the next president of this country? It's only God who knows. We can campaign, we can do everything. So for me, it's a good idea, even though me and my party were not invited. We're not invited to come and observe the No, we're not invited.
No, all political parties were invited. Some decided to come Some said no.
Oh, in the air or with
No,
invitation?
with
card?
invitation,
when I go back
yeah.
to the party.
But you know us personally, you should have sent us individual invitations.
Yes, you see, because me,
So we'll come and add to the
if you
number.
invite me,
parties
if you
were
invite
invited.
me, I'll go. But if you don't invite me, I will not go. You understand?
Now this one was
If you
open,
invite
was
me,
open.
because I'm a
Was
former
open
acting
invitation.
chairperson of the CPP,
didn't
so
tell
you
us.
invite me in that capacity, then I will know that I've been respected and I'll go and take my front seat.
Thank you.
You understand?
Thank
So
He was sitting in front, I saw him on TV.
So this was just
Friday I was sick. Friday I was sick.
this was just a precursor to the main event. So Malians are rallying support for ECOWAS exit. Let me start with you, Gabriel Ateta, on this one.
The way she has prepared a note.
Yeah, she's prepared it.
So we do the lectures for us today.
Yes, please. Please proceed.
So on the issue of Mali and the citizens rejoicing, prior to starting the show, we're having this conversation about the three countries, the Alliance of the Sahel, what do they call themselves now? Sahel states.
Yes, I know.
And the sad turn of events. But I think that ECOWAS should have seen it coming, that once you put in sanctions against these three, for them to become stronger together, and consider the fact that there are only 3 military states currently in the sub-region, they are going to come into some form of alliance and also oppose the sanctions that ECOWAS has imposed on them. They've referred to the sanctions as illegitimate, irresponsible, illegal, and there's a fourth adjective they used to describe the sanctions. And the sanctions have actually started biting them. They also raised issues with the fact that ECOWAS failed or has failed in supporting them, individual countries, in the existential fight against terrorism and extremists. And then to have a valid point. And then thirdly, they say that ECOWAS has deviated from its fundamental principles and values, which were used to create the bloc. ECOWAS also maintains that per Article 1A of the ECOWAS Constitution, they are against, they have zero tolerance for any form of government which is not born out of a democratically elected system. So things like coup d'etats and revolutions and things, they are totally against it. But you have to take into cognizance the fact that these are not normal times for the regional body. And as a sub-region, where this organization called ECOWAS was created fundamentally to serve as an economic bloc to facilitate movement of people and trade, and not as a security bloc per se. The security aspect of their functions come in to protect the movement of goods and services and people. But we have a peculiar situation where our sub-region is now referred to as the terrorist center of the world currently. It has moved from the Middle East and the Arabia region and is now sitting in West Africa. These countries had very little choices open to them, because here's the case, they are fighting extremists who possess very sophisticated weapons, and their governments could not fathom how complicated and how complex this whole terrorist fighting thing is, especially if you allow it to go out of hand. It affects the entire sub-region, including Ghana. We are all at risk. Nigeria was sitting there whilst these insurgents were playing around it. Nigeria has their own ingrown terrorists now, which they are able to deal with in the northern part of Nigeria. And they share a border. 7 states in Nigeria share a border with Niger. Yeah. So you can imagine the crisscross movement that is going on within this area. And because we are equally tied to Nigeria as Anglophone, they will cross the Francophone and visit Anglophone, because they think we are one with Nigeria. So it's a very complex thing with this whole fight against with terrorism. And ECOWAS, I say that ECOWAS missed it, because this particular leadership of ECOWAS when even the response they gave when Bazoum was thrown out, it was nothing short for me of a club of big old men who are just trying to protect themselves. And so I agree with these three states when they talk about ECOWAS deviating from fundamental principles. I think that you need to take cognizance of the challenges at hand. Today, now that they have announced, this past week, that they announced officially that they are exiting ECOWAS, what are the implications? Niger was developed to become the onion production house of West Africa. Mali was designed to become the tomato production house of West Africa. When the coup happened in Niger, my own Gomwa East here could not get, the onion market almost went dead because they didn't have onions to sell. And the trucks were all stuck in Niger and couldn't come. To the extent that they were even coming under attack by terrorists. And they were pleading for help. Vehicle owners in Ashanti region were calling out the government to try and help them to get their trucks out of Niger. Very complex situation. Today, with their going out, how does it affect us? One, definitely challenges the movement of people. We have in Ghana here, our Temahabo, which serves as the transport hub for Nigerian shippers, Burkinabe shippers, Malian shippers. To the extent that even Niger has a shippers authority, a shippers council, wide office now in Temahabo to facilitate their movements through their exports and imports into their country. If they go out of the regional bloc, how are we going to facilitate this trade with them? Because it now means that we now have to go and agree to new bilateral terms with Burkina as a sole entity and no longer go with ECOWAS protocols. You want to go to Burkina, you have to go and collect a visa. Burkina wants to come to Ghana, but for them, it will be more complicated for them to come to Ghana. They'd rather go and find a way of going to Cote d'Ivoire to make things easy for them. We have people originating from these countries who are also residents in a lot of these African countries. So they're pulling out. It's a bit of an issue. And ECOWAS ought to realize, as a body ought to realize, that it is better to go back and redeem its image with these three countries and work with whatever forms of government they currently have and try to get them to accept a transitional regime and go back into democratic governance. Rawlings put off his military garb, donned a suit and tie, and batakari and shirts. Whoever thought that batakari and shirts could look fashionable, as hot as that outfit could be, and decided to become a civilian government. If any military leader wants to be president, they can still decide to go through a democratic means.
Does it really matter? What ECOWAS's description or definition of democracy is? Insofar as the people are better off, insofar as there's
ultimately,
development,
that is what you should do.
That is what matters, really.
It's still a form of governance.
Absolutely.
But we've come to this belief in how westernized we've all been coached into believing that what we are calling democracy, because it allows everybody to participate in the governance process, it is the best option. You can still have a military regime, a country governed by military leaders who still allow people the leeway to engage in free expression of themselves, to engage in whatever, so long as it's within the confines of the law. That is my belief. But we've accepted a certain system, okay? And so deviating from that system is frowned upon.
Look at Libya, for instance.
Yes, the collapse of Gaddafi caused the collapse of the nation.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there's no science anywhere that says that democracy ultimately is the determinant of how well the people will do.
A good leader is a good leader.
Absolutely. I mean, Doumbouya visited, and you talk about the military attire and things. Doumbouya visited Rwanda in suit and tie. So it's just a uniform, really. It's the individual who matters, whether or not he has the people's interest at heart. It's what matters. I mean, today, people could have said that, and of course they continue to say that Nkrumah was a terrorist, and Nkrumah was autocratic, he was a dictator and things like that, right? But the collapse or the demise of Nkrumah, I believe,
Collapse
was
is
the
not-
beginning of the collapse of this country.
Yes, it is
Undoubtedly,
true.
yeah. So
It is
it is
true.
not about the uniform, really.
No.
It's about what works
Yes.
for you.
Yeah, but let's
I was coming to Hadia before I come to you, so let me come to Hadia. Hadia, please.
You see,
But brilliant submission, I love
you
it.
see, talking about democracy, I'm not sure what we are practicing in Africa is democracy. Because for me, I would define democracy as your people being comfortable, taking care of themselves, getting their daily bread, and what have you. We are talking about Rwanda. Currently, as we speak, I watch a video, is it a documentary about Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger, that by 2024, they will be the 9th fastest growing economy of the world. How did they do it? How did they do it? Because their natural resources were being siphoned by this French to build their economy. They were giving us $11 or something. Now they are selling for 200 and something. Is it 220? I can't remember the figure, but very huge figure. So they are projecting that maybe if within a year, this is how they are going, what they are going to get. To do what? Are they going to put the money in Switzerland bank? No, they are bringing it back to their country to build their economy. It is a sad situation because if it's anything at all, we've seen how people are suffering, especially women and children, in these war-torn countries. But the approach of ECOWAS, as Gabi rightly indicated, was wrong from the beginning. Because if it's anything at all, this is a country that has been attacked by insurgents, no help coming from anywhere. You know, the United States of America sent some vehicles to Burkina Faso just 3 weeks ago. Did ECOWAS question why they gave it to them? Why didn't they? Because there's a sanction on them. You understand? So the hypocrisy of the West is what is killing us, because we don't have leaders who are thinking outside the box. Fair enough, there is a coup. I don't support coup. But you should look at the causes of what transpired before the coup. Then you look at the people. I belong to Arwin Ghana, that's African Women Leadership, and then you know us. We went for a meeting. The people came, Mali, Niger, and then Burkina Faso. They are not happy with ECOWAS sanctions against their country because they said they supported it. They are supporting it, and then even the leadership of those countries are giving the women the chance to also tell them what they think they should do for the country. This is from the women. You see, so if you sit in the comfort of your, you know, even the ECOWAS, the decision they took against, what's the last country that?
Niger.
Was it Niger that did the last coup?
Yeah, there was
one of the countries. They elected the Nigerian president as ECOWAS, and when he has not formed his cabinet yet.
Niger. It was Niger, yeah.
He has not formed his cabinet yet. And then about 7, I nearly said countries, so should they states in Nigeria?
In Nigeria, yes, state, yes.
7 held a meeting to say that the sanction on Niger will affect them because they are like twin brothers or sisters. You understand? But ECOWAS were adamant. And they told them not to take military. When they were threatening that they were going to take military to go and overturn the people said no. So what stops ECOWAS from saying that, let's think through this issue. Let's call our brothers or our sons and brothers to sit down with them and look at the best option. Find military transition. Let's look at transitional. It can be even a military, quote unquote, but there's a transition that will get everybody involved. Because you have to accept what is good for the country, not because of any protocols and conventions that you are going to sign. The protocols and conventions that we are going to sign as even Ghanaians, how many of those protocols that we have followed? We went to AU, we said 50% gender parity. Nothing happened. We went to UN, 30%. Are we having it? Have we domesticated it?
No.
Let's say we are here in Nyasimpra before we remove somebody's list. So I think the approach from the beginning was even wrong. I think we should still go back to the drawing board, because pulling out will affect both sides. Because most of their things, they take it through Tema Habo, Takrady Habo, so it will affect them. Look at a country like Burkina Faso telling us to come and sit with them and discuss, else they will not, because we are lazy. We have arable lands. They have to even irrigate their farms with, I nearly said ponds. How do you call those? You just mentioned the NDC built one in dams. You understand? But we have natural water. We have rains in Waterview. In Burkina Faso, a country that, when I was a child in Boga, if they come from Burkina Faso to Boga, they have to take a nice bath because they are covered with dust because of the nature of their country. But now they are even bluffing. They won't sell tomatoes to us, they won't sell this to us, and so on and so forth. So I think as Ghanaians, we have to restructure the economy of this country. Let's see what we are not getting right. Because if it's anything at all, we have to take care of our country before we think about Burkina Faso or Mali and so on and so forth. So that is why I believe in agriculture as being something that can drive the economy of this country. When you look at the way Kwame Nkrumah structured this country, he had a arrangement with Lamizana that time. They didn't have the grass to feed their cows, so they bring it up to the middle belt. When they are going, they leave some in Zwarungu for us to get the meat. We can it into corned beef. The horns, we bring it somewhere. Everything, it was structured in such a way, so we don't even need to build any silos again. Most of the factories are in the bushes, whether we like it or not. They're in the bushes. So for me, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger pulling out of ECOWAS is not the best. I think we shouldn't just play this big boys club and say that who are leadership, they can go. Because I was born and bred in Boga. If you see the trucks that moves from the southern part to cross into the border to go and buy tomatoes, and if you look at Boko, that's where Niger is, they bring the onions and so on. But if you decide that you are not going to farm, you depend on other countries, definitely they will bluff. They will bluff. One day we have land in this country. Go to BA, go to Northern Region, Upper East, Upper West.
The whole country?
The whole country. No, as for some part of the country, Galamsey has taken most of the lands. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it will be difficult. But we have lands that we can grow. Look, when I was coming to this studio today, I saw big drums full of plantain. Plantain. We are producing plantain, but even put it in such a way that we can also export is another thing. That brings me to your comment about stabilizing the CD and then interest rate and whatever. If we keep on importing without exporting, how can we stabilize our cities? So Burkina Faso now can bluff, Mali can bluff, and then Niger can bluff a country like Ghana. So I think we should also look at other ways of doing things so that a country like Burkina Faso...
What do we actually export in this country?
Pineapple,
yes. Pineapple.
Chili pepper, now we are doing a bit of coconut, yam,
Shea butter.
shea butter,
But it's not
butter, paste,
But cocoa, recently we are importing cocoa from Ivory Coast.
But you know, Gabriela,
there's value added cocoa and there's the cocoa beans. We export all.
There's something significantly wrong with us.
We are going to touch on that. But you see, Ajia made a very important point, and I think surreptitiously was advanced by Gabi as well. This over reliance on what we describe as democracy as Africans, really, in my humble estimation, is why we're here. The fact that people think that you can only question a government every 4 years is why we're here. The fact that we run a certain political system where it is practically impossible to even impeach a president. It is practically impossible to impeach a president in this country. or for that matter, on the continent. Ajia made mention of the fact that when the people were were impoverished and subjugated and were under, the unseen hands of this France and things like that, nobody came to their rescue. Nobody spoke about it. When these these countries were under the leadership of some democratic autocracy, nobody spoke about it. You have presidents changing the constitution so they can stay in power for as long as they wish. Nobody spoke about it. And then they've found a way of axing these people out so that they can rebuild their country. Then you find your voices. I mean, it is mind-boggling.
You see, just a minute.
Yeah.
You see, when you ECOWAS like this, most of the people don't have any moral right to sit on the table and discuss this issue. You don't sit with people who are tainted to even sanction people like Domboya and so on and so on. They have also taken over. But we have people who want to continue to be president. I learned even in Gambia something like that.
Yeah.
It's swelling his hair.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
So why
don't you tell the people in the face, why are you changing your constitution? It's 2 terms, you finish, go. Even there, listen, it's 5 years. Like Cote d'Ivoire, it's 5 years, so 10 years. Are you not tired with people?
5.
Why?
Kwame, quick one in respect of the issue of what are we exporting? And just quick one before I come to the issue. You see, when the Malaysians came to Ghana, we had cocoa and we had oil palm. Malaysians didn't take our cocoa away.
They took
They already had cocoa.
They took our oil palm and they are making fortunes out of it. I think in the year, they make about $20 billion annually from it. You make less than $2 billion from cocoa. So that's
a difference.
No, that should tell you something.
Yeah.
What you have is making someone far better than you, 10 times better than you in terms of export earnings. And you are still focusing on cocoa without giving the same kind of attention to the oil palm business. And that
The cocoa is collapsing.
yes, so that is the problem.
But what governance system do they have?
They have a democracy.
Yes, yeah. I think
What kind of democracy?
they have democracy. They have their own form of
Exactly. That's the question. But Gabi, let's understand this thing. Even in China, they had to close China's borders
economy for
for a long time to rebuild it, to make them believe in them. So that's what Paul Kagame is doing.
Yeah.
That when you speak to a Rwandan, they see themselves as Rwandans first. You can't even go to Rwanda and say, where are you from? And so that patriotic mentality, and I'm happy that you spoke about discipline and something in your
discipline.
because that is what we lack, and that is why
Discipline is...
that is why our economies are, because people
attitude
we can't account for anything. When someone look at this National Sports Authority, look at this, nothing.
No.
Nothing. And then when you raise these matters, because it affects maybe one political party, they say, hey, the guy is this, and then they will get people supporting it. You understand? So that is the problem.
Yeah, that's the
really.
problem.
So do you think that tomorrow, God forbid, right? But if there's another political system that works for the benefit of all of us, you think Hajiya will come and sit here and complain? If Hajiya is able to complete her house and be able to take care of and be able to take care of the orphans that she's taking care of, do you think Hajiya would, and in the morning, she's busy running around supplying things, and do you think Hajiya will even have the time to come and sit here and talk? Because she's busy. You get the point. I'm not saying that, of course, you would find the time to talk about Ghana because it is Ghana.
Yeah.
But we have a system where everybody is satisfied, everybody is okay. Why would anybody complain about anything, really? If your roads are fixed. This morning, my car is red because my road is bad. It's terrible. Do you think that when I come and sit here, I will lament? I will vent. So that is the kind of system that we are referring to. Today, you have a president come and tell you that, oh, as for me, I've zoned out, technically. You know, it should have been really, we should have, all of us, irrespective of whichever political party said, you know, questioned him as to why he is zoned out and as to why he's still in power when he himself has zoned out. I mean, these are the questions and the things that we should be looking at, really. Yeah. So, practically, really, what system should work for a country is dependent on how the country itself wants to run itself.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, I mean, Kwame, for me, ECOWAS would have to reconsider the objectives that underpin its formation. Because clearly, ECOWAS has missed the point. I mean, they've missed the point. Because if you look at the fact that the core objective is for economic integration, the question is, to what extent have they been able to integrate the economies of West Africa? So clearly, they've missed the point. And for me, I would want to advise that, maybe suggest that, you know, as the protocols of ECOWAS itself, you know, suggest, it will take them, even after you've announced your exit, whatever decision, yeah, it will take a whole year for you. And it means that you have 1 year that, you know, discussion, negotiations can still go on. So that, I mean, we don't have to let them go. I mean, and we also have to respect their sovereignty. Each of them is a sovereign state or a sovereign country. But the point is that in terms of democracy, democracy doesn't have one definition.
Absolutely.
Democracy's definition depends on how it works for you. And for me, if the leaders, the coup leaders, will put in place a system or a transitional system, something that would work for them, and that would also not allow one person to autocratically, be dominating the people, it will go a long way to help them. But as for coup, you see, one thing about coup is that when you enter into office with a coup, you are likely to be thrown out with a coup. So that is the problem with coups. It's not that you can have let's say a coup maker, who is 1,000 times better than somebody who was elected in terms of principles, in terms of character, behavior, and all that. But the point is that because you went into that office through coup, you are likely to also be taken out too. And that is why the instability issue comes in. And once the political instability comes in, then the economic instability also comes in. So for me, the most important thing is moving forward, they should be able to, talk about these issues. Of course, when they were, as we were saying, when they were being, cheated by the France, or by France, by the French, you didn't come to their aid. When the economies were struggling, there was no economic integration. But now that they've taken action to protect themselves and to make sure that their people are well-to-do and their living conditions are well, then you are coming to impose sanctions. I think they should lift the sanctions and they should talk about issues and see how they can bring them together. And also, the leaders themselves must know that they are not here to stay.
Yeah.
So they should also prepare the ground for others to also join and put in motion processes that will lead to, maybe if it is 10 years, 5 years. I mean, you do sometimes, great leaders, sometimes they don't spend much time. George Washington, 8 years, isn't it? My Lord and Jesus Christ, 3 years in ministry. So great leaders don't last. You make your impact, then you leave the scene for others. But the most important thing is that you set a good example for others to follow. So for me, that's what I would say.
It's about building an economy that works. For me, it's about building an economy that works.
Yeah, that's what is important.
An economy that will liberate people from the shackles of
bread
poverty.
and butter issues.
That is bread and butter issues. Those are the fundamental. In fact, if you recall the French Revolution, one of the things which was it was bread and butter. Bread. The woman just got up one day, bread, butter. The bread is finished, and that started a revolution.
That's
it.
Bread and butter issues.
Yeah. So that is But Gabby wants to make a quick point.
Back to the same Article 1A of this ECOWAS Constitution, that if you say there's zero tolerance for any government that comes into unconstitutional means, then all those your old men who have gone and messed up their constitutions to go for another term,
It's also illegal.
are,
Yeah.
those, are all those not part of the unconstitutional means? But ECOWAS legitimized it, did not say anything about it, and allowed it to go on. So if you allow so-called democratic leaders to still impugn on the Article 1A, why can't you allow the military people to also do the same? If it's not good for this, it should not be good for that. And if it's good for this, it should be good for that.
When the issue came up, the envoy, the team of heads of state who were asked to go and negotiate, one of them
All of them.
Togo was one of them.
Yeah, Togo.
But do you know, if you raise issues like that, they say if the country is a sovereign country, we can't interfere.
Yes. That's true. No, you don't get Hadia's argument. You know, Hadia's argument is that when they are perpetrating all these democratic illegalities,
Yes.
that's why we say they are a sovereign country, so we can't go and interfere. But when someone takes over and is doing the right, that one, they are not sovereign anymore. I mean, the irony of it. But clearly, there are more questions than answers, and we'll continue to, ask those questions and continue to engage our minds with those questions. Brilliant submissions by all standards from our panelists in respect of the Malian matter. Let's come back home because it appears we also have our own internal matters to deal with. And one of such is the fact that the special prosecutor, as requested by the court, has returned Cecilia Dapaah's monies to her. And that is the next topic for discussion, after which we will look at Bawumia's, I don't know whether I should call it economic summit or forum, but which will be held at UPSA tomorrow. So these are the matters left for us to discuss. Let me start with Ebo in respect of Cecilia Dapaah's matter.
I mean, this issue, you see, I've been asking a question, whether this issue you are a lawyer, is it a matter of law, a matter of morality, a matter of conscience? Because is it the case that OSP was not able to make his case that there was something wrong with the source of the money? Is it the case that it was against a law that somebody was keeping the money in her house?
Do you know Frederick Bastiat?
No, tell me more.
He said that when plunder becomes the way of life of a particular group of people in a society, they create a legal system that legalizes it, and a moral code that authorizes it.
Yes, you said it perfectly. You see, that's why I asked the question, whether it's a question of law, morality, or conscience. Because, I mean, it's so funny, Kwame, how as a nation, you see people make money. You see people, it's not, let me not even use the word make money. You see people with money that they are 10 years salary, 20 years salary, will not be able to, if you like, match the money that they are either keeping in their bank account or, whether they've invested in real estate or whatever. The point is that in this country, we don't question people how they make money. Kwame, I'm told, elsewhere, even if you go and use paper cash, let's say $10,000 to buy a car. No, they will call FBI on you because it is highly unthinkable that things like that will happen in the economy or in their country. But in this country, we see young men and women, they enter into politics. Within a matter of 4 years, they have about 5 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars parked in their house. They have mansions, they own mansions. In fact, every morning, people queue to go to them for daily bread. And they're able to satisfy them. In fact, those who do that are called the good politicians. This man is good. If you go, he will provide. And nobody questions the sources of those income or that income. And so, as you said, now it has become a norm that if you want to make it, enter into politics. So, and interestingly, Kwame, I know you didn't go to law school to become a politician. Now it has become like Ghana here, it's fashionable for every politician to become a lawyer. So they become politicians, the next time they are lawyers. I don't know whether they are lawyers to protect what they steal or they are lawyers to practice as lawyers. But the point I'm making is that, you see, Madam Cecilia Dapa, I don't know the sources of the income. But it should be possible for us to be able to determine whether she made that money illegally or in the right way. I mean, she really made it herself through legitimate means. Because it's highly unthinkable. How can anyone who is into business decide that I'm keeping that amount of money under my bed when you are doing business? Of course, if you are doing business, your money will be at the bank or you reinvest your money. So the fact that the money was being kept under a bed, I mean, raises a lot of questions. So, but the point is, the issue is it the case that OSP was not able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, as you lawyers like saying, that there was something fishy about the money? Or after all the investigation, he came to a conclusion that there was nothing wrong with the woman having the money, or the money was really her money. I mean, it makes the whole thing, it confuses some of us, because, question again, is it that is the law that is allowing these things to happen, or is the issue of morality, is the issue of conscience? Because I don't really get it, because I don't really see the reason why such amount of money will be kept under a bed, and the argument is being made that she made the money out of her own business. I mean, who businessman? Is it the case that she also lost confidence in the economy? But that is why she was keeping the money under her. I mean,
if you seek understanding on the basis of the law, morality, and the last thing you said was conscience, then I don't know how it plays out, because legally there was an injunction placed on the investigations. Whether or not that is supposed to be the case is a matter for the court and the judge to decide. Do you understand? Yeah. Now, your moral argument is what I'm struggling to appreciate, and the conscience argument is what I'm struggling to appreciate. Because if, again, someone has $1 million, what the person decides to do with that money is their own decision. If the person is into business and has made profit of, let's say, $1 million over the years, and the person decides to keep that money under her bed, that's her sole decision. But of course, we know that she's not a businesswoman. We know that she's a politician, a practicing one for that matter. And therefore, it raises a lot of questions, you know, when we find those sums of money in her home, which is why all of us are particularly interested, which is why you are asking that at least some conclusions must be drawn from all the, you know, from all the chronology of events which have taken place. So can you explain to us what you mean by moral and conscience in relation to that? I want to understand the morality and the conscience aspect of it.
The law issue has to do with the state.
And the law has been dealt with, because now you have explained that, you know, it is either that the prosecution or the OSP was not able to prove his case beyond reasonable doubt, right? Or that there is no sufficient evidence to buttress whatever claims that the OSP is making, or whatever is advancing, right? So that has been settled.
That one has to do with the state. With the issue of morality and conscience, I mean, has to do with the human beings. I mean, in this case, the judge that sat on the case, and the OSP himself, and the woman. I mean, if I'm saying this, and I want to use my words carefully. If I steal money, I have conscience. I have conscience. And so if I steal money, naturally, unless I have something to protect, I wouldn't want to overstretch issues, because I know I didn't get the money and legitimately. That is why I'm talking about the issue. Is it the case that we've lost our conscience as a people, that now we can do things anyhow, provided we can be able to have the law to protect us, like as you rightly said. So I've been thinking, is it the case that people don't care anymore?
I see where you are going, but you see, then again, I don't want to hold brief for anybody, but it's also important to understand that the dynamics of the law are different. And the fact that you go to court seeking an expected result does not necessarily mean that that is the same result that you will get from the court. Is an interplay of evidence, is an interplay of facts. So whoever is able to present their facts and evidence to buttress the claim they are making is the one who is the likely victor at the end of the day. Of course, that decision rests with the judge. So I don't think that your morality argument finds expression in the outcome that has been determined by the court. The outcome of the case.
Yeah, no,
because if the court has said, and you use the word stealing, it is only the court that can make that determination.
Yes, that's
you
what
and
I'm saying.
I have no locus to make the determination that someone has stolen.
Yeah.
At best, we can only allege that there has been some stealing. But exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's why I made the distinction between.
So we need to be quite circumspect, in our analysis of these matters, because we have to. It's the law at play here, and we cannot say that the judges do not know what they are about. If, for instance, the OSP has presented, the case in a manner which allows for the court to make some pronouncement, the court will definitely make those pronouncements. Maybe, just maybe, the threshold, has not been met, which is why we are here.
But we've had corrupt judges in this country. I mean, let's face it.
I won't let you go there because
not only in this country.
Some of those judges have been weeded out. So those corrupt judges that you are referring to have been weeded out. And so
some of them are not even corrupt.
I said we've had. Yeah.
But invariably, you are saying that because we've had, it is invariably, or whatever it is, affecting the outcome of this.
I was talking generally. I was not. You see, I spoke specifically about this issue
in relation to this is
no. I spoke to this issue, and I also spoke generally. And that is where I brought the issue of conscience and all that. So
all right.
I'm very clear on this.
Okay. Let me come to Adia.
You see, when the issue of Honorable Cecilia Dapaah started, and the way the OSPN took the whole matter, I said it somewhere that it won't go anywhere. Because the OSP rather wanted us to, the public, to judge the woman. That's how I saw it. Because the paparazzi that went there, it was allegedly that they took 2 hours or 3 hours to count the money. That one, it is not our business. You are supposed to do the investigations and give us results. Now, I heard the OSP the other day. He said after investigations, he didn't see anything like corruption concerning whatever Madam Cecilia Dapaah had in her house. But what he was suspecting is money laundering, which he hasn't got the capacity to do that, but rather Yoko would do that. But you see, let's even put the law aside. Kwame, it's only in this country that maybe people are not questioned about their source of income or maybe resources. We see young boys, somebody will just leave the mother's house for 3 weeks or 2 weeks. He or she comes with a Land Cruiser or Benz. They celebrate that person. So we live in a country that we cherish riches, no matter how you make it. And then you are seen as a good person, especially if you can dish out the money. But I think, Madam Cecilia, the past case is an ongoing case. But since you are a lawyer, I want some clarity. The money was taken by the special prosecutor.
Yes.
Thinking that maybe
the account was frozen.
She acquired the money through maybe foul means. And then now he's transferring the case to Yoko. If really institutions are interested in the whole thing, that same day in court, Yoko should have taken action. so that the money will not be given to the woman. We're talking about law here. We are not lawyers. He is a lawyer. If I'm going off this thing, you can bring me back online. Because it's like some cook and boot story. If the money is for her, give it to her. If it's not for her, you say you suspect money laundering. And money laundering is a serious crime if you look at the laws of the country. But for me, this thing all came out because Madam Cecilia Dapaah is a minister of state.
Yep.
Like if it's me or Gabriela, we are not in power, isn't it? And somebody even comes to see money, it will not be like the way we are seeing it because it's Madam Cecilia Dapaah. Because for me, when it started, I said, if you have such a money and then we don't have foreign exchange in this country, we need foreign exchange. As somebody who is serving in the government, why don't you also even help your government in such a way that inflations and maybe exchange rates will come down? But somebody will come and say, oh, this is a private business. Private, but you are in the work of, you are working. You are part of the government. If the government succeeds, you are part of it. If it sinks, you are part of it. So for me, that's where I'm seeing the moral issue that you are talking about. Because let's face it, why do you keep such huge money in your house? In your house. But you see, me, one thing I like about the woman, when she was bold enough to go and report at the police, some people are dying, you know. People's money have been stolen, they cannot say anything because they don't want to be whipped like the way Madam Cecilia Dapaah is being whipped.
The one in the polytons.
I don't know anyway. Because if this is happening to Mrs. Dapaah, and maybe I have my money, I'll say, hey, even if they steal 10,000, I'll keep quiet. Because if I come out, they say, oh, this is what is happening. I think going forward, we should learn how to, Kwame, we're in a serious crisis. Because we don't know how many people are keeping money in their houses in this country.
I remember, was it in
You see?
Sierra Leone? Sierra Leone.
Yes.
There was this worker at the Ministry of Finance, I believe, whose house was raided.
Yeah.
And the amount of money that was recovered is unbelievable. Billions.
You know what exposed this lady, musician, social, this thing that has been arrested in, is it America or
I have not
UK?
followed. Which one?
Hajia for real or something.
Ah, yeah.
It's because of the way she went on a shopping. Hey, where did she get this money
You
from?
can't spend that much.
Do you understand? A sister of mine has a child in the US and she was trying to pay fees. She was able to save the money, but you can't go and pay cash. So she decided to give to an uncle to put in his account. His account was frozen. Professor, his account was frozen. Where did he get the 10,000 to put it in? He has to go and explain. For some time, he couldn't use his account. But here, I can just walk to the bank and put $1 million in my account. Nobody will question. They will only question when maybe the money is coming from abroad, because they will ask, what are you going to do? You explain, finishing a project, or maybe hospital bill, or school fees, before they will agree to credit your account. You see, so I think, Madam Cecilia Dapaah's case, I'm not sure it has ended. And those who have monies in their homes, they should put it in the banks. Because if you put it in the bank, at least, it will help the economy. But if you put it in your maid servants, and they are seeing the way you carry the money up and down to your room, you go out, maybe at times you travel abroad, she has the spare key, she will also be pulling it small before you realize she has built a house for her boyfriend, bought a taxi for this. That is what is happening. You see, that is what is happening. So for me, the special prosecutor, the way he started the thing with the paparazzi, I knew that it's not going anywhere. Because if you say you are not getting access to certain informations, and so the money is already there. Ask the person, where did you get this money from? And you yourself said that he didn't even find any corrupt. So the money flew or dropped from the sky or what? At least there should be some traceable record. You see, but
Very well.
But before that, you remember one MP who was saying that he has kept a lot of dollars for his primaries. You remember that? Yes, yeah. Proudly.
that he kept what?
Nobody
questioned him.
Yeah. Do I even know?
Which one is that?
The former PPA.
Let's hear from you.
Oh, Jenny Mboate. No, I don't think he's
Kwame, this whole thing with the Cecilia Dapa OSP issue, to be very honest with you, I'm a bit fatigued from discussing the OSP already. And I'm not surprised that last week, Transparency International rankings came out globally, and we've been stagnating for 4 years. Because this whole fight against corruption is just a fluke. And as the letter Akufo-Addo wrote to Madame Dapa when she was resigning, it appears that there's an orchestrated attempt to just let the thing go. You know, the OSP himself has now become a constant lamenter. I listened to him, was it last week or last 2 weeks? His demeanor and everything, I think the corruption has already beaten him psychologically. He made mention that when the department, the OSP office dies, then Ghana is doomed. We were here before OSP's office came. We were expecting more from the OSP office. Every single year for the last 4 years that they've been coming out with their annual reports on what they've been doing for the fight against corruption. It's like their score rate is 30%. So, to be very honest with you, I'm a bit disappointed. I saw a letter about a month or two ago that the office had even been given a Lexus and an S500 as official vehicles. And the day I saw that letter, I said in my head, they weren't going to win any war on corruption. This is showmanship. You want to fight corruption, you don't fight corruption with showmanship. You fight corruption with witlessness. That is how everybody knows that we are fighting corruption. When you go to Italy and the Latin Americas, where they have these office of special prosecutors and the rest, people are dying for occupying those positions. It is not for the faint-hearted. It is not for those who lament and those who cry at the slightest provocation. So, to be honest with you, Kwame, I'm very disappointed. And really, I'm not sure this Akufo-Addo government really means well when it comes to the fight against corruption. The whole thing is a fluke. You know, Haja made mention of something about how some people are dying because of their money is being stolen. Some people almost went mad because of their money is being stolen. Some people have disappeared because people's monies have been stolen. And there's a reason why they are unable to put the money in the bank now.
Disappeared?
Oh yes, because the reason why they can't even put the money in the bank. You see, in the time of the NDC administration, the Financial Intelligence Center of the Bank of Ghana was so active that even if you had 80,000 in your bank account, they'll give you a call and start asking you for a meeting. They want to come and ask you, Keke, where did this money come from? How did you acquire the money? They just want information. That's all. And they're gone. 80,000 Ghana cedis. 80,000. Today, you don't even hear of those things going on. So everybody is just doing as they please, and the monies keep disappearing as they please. The demands from the politicians keep going up as they please. You know, last weekend, there was this whole, I'm deviating, but I'm coming back to this same thing on corruption. Last weekend, there were a list of DCs who were fired. And one of them, I won't mention his name, has a leaked audio where somebody called to find out from him how things were going after the sack, and they got into one conversation after another, and he let the cat out of the bag that they were told that they should bring 600,000, 6 billion, and if you are unable to bring the money, here you go. And he
From where?
so he rural DC, where is he going to get that kind of money from? And the person they gave the appointment to could easily pay the money. And it brings us back to the conversation about monocracy in our politics, and why we will not be able to fight corruption if we are not willing to address the monocracy in our politics, and how people are put in positions, and people expect that once you are in the, and that is what Ebo was saying, people expect that once you are put in that position, you should be able to manipulate that system to draw out money for whatever activity that is required to do the politics. How do we move forward as a country like this? So you are pulling all these money from all these places.
DC. No. Like,
but they are coming from.
You compare it to Bolga, it's not the same. No, it's not the same. No, it's not
so
the
if
same.
you can't pay, you go. The person who pays will take the position.
Oh.
So now we have a country where we are all complaining about things not working. The only people who don't complain about things not working are the people in office. Everybody else is crying because they are the ones who are not finding the ways and means to do what it is that they want. And at the end, we are now complaining, just like the OSP. Lamentations from morning till evening, non-stop.
Let's just my time is
because you are a lawyer. I want to bring up this issue for us to see the possibility in Ghana. You know, in Singapore, if you go to Singapore, the situation in their quest to fight against corruption, they came up with 2 separate laws to deal with corruption. One of them is that when they suspect you of corruption, it is presumed that you are corrupt.
Yeah, that you are guilty.
You are guilty. So it is for you. Yes, it is for you to prove that you are not corrupt.
Yeah.
So the burden of proof is not on the state, but because you said you got the money, so you have to prove that, prove how you got the money. In our case, it's the opposite, right?
Because it's entrenched in Article 19 of the Constitution. You are innocent until proven otherwise. So maybe unless you have a referendum. No, come here. To fight against corruption. But it's very long. It's very, very long. So that's why people are calling for constitutional reform.
Yeah.
Things like that.
I mean, in respect of corruption, I don't know whether we can have a separate law.
You see, there's something about their culture. There's this whole imprinted anal code in their conscience that even the mere fact that they'll be caught with anything, that would have negatively affect the image of their family name is a problem for them. So that just on alone can drive them to suicide.
That's true.
But what he was talking about, morality and conscience, that on this continent, the conscience is killed. They killed it from childhood. When you start misbehaving, the first thing they do, they will not correct you. The first they do is to beat you. The second time you repeat it, they beat you out, you become, the beating doesn't do anything to you again. So they've already killed you. They'll tell you, we go and report you to your teacher. So from childhood, that child has been conscientized, I'm reporting you to your teacher. In fact, the child will go and tell you, go and report to the headmistress in addition to the teacher. I don't care. Because we've killed it.
Very well. So you see, that's the problem. Because if you look at the Constitution, Article 19, I think 2C, or I believe, it makes it quite clear that you are innocent until proven guilty.
Is it that we are missing something on our moral and conscientization?
But you see, you guys made a point. I don't know whether you have entered your minds to it, but I think we are here because of our incessant reliance on money.
Yeah.
You see that the person who is respected the most is the one who has money. So you go to your constituency.
That's how you measure success.
Do you know one funny thing that is happening now? You know, before we came to this particular currency, after President Kufuor change, you know, if you give somebody 5 cedis, that's 500, because you've taken the zero, the person appreciates it.
Of course.
Now, you'll be there. Somebody will send you a message. I've not eaten since morning. I need something. And you send 50 cedis. The person will not say thank you. Have you realized that?
It's just,
They won't even send you a text. Even if you send 100 cedis, the person will not say thank you. Then after 3-4 months, the person will send a message again. And expect you
to respond to it. I think it's just the fact that we have not been intentional about these things. You know, the fact that we need to work to ensure that somehow we address some of these things, because to be honest with you, it is precisely the reason why people are unable to you know, go for political office, because if you don't have the money, genuine people, if you don't have the money, you cannot. And I'm afraid that because of what we are doing, we'll get to a point where armed robbers, drug dealers, drug barons will be the ones, because they have the money. You know, and once they are in office, they have protection. So to do all manner of things. So we have to be very, very careful.
Remember Pablo Escobar was
about school fees. And I said, hey, school fees, I don't have that. But the people are surprised. Why don't I have? I said,
it's not because they don't respect the currency. It's because they think that
you have more.
CDP,
you have more, and you are giving them.
But have we come to power?
Government to come to power to get anything. They expect that once you support the politician, there's a one track road.
But that is the problem. You see, and this is the perennial problem that we've created for ourselves as a nation. Because right now, when you engage young people, and almost all of them want to be politicians, so you engage them. Oh, why do you want to be? Why do you want to be a politician? And the simple answer you get is, and they are talking to you in confidence. Charlie Kwame, you know, see this boy. Charlie, I say, come no. You know, so that is the easiest way of making money. But they are not thinking about the country Ghana. No. They don't care really. You know, they don't care about Ghana. And for me, that's the unfortunate thing. And we are actually creating a system where it will be practically impossible tomorrow to reverse, because it's getting worse by the day.
Kwame, anytime I set this example, people think I'm bitter, but I'm not. Look at what happened to me in Kabila. We got money, put it in an account to run the party, build the system in the party. We're taken to court. But somebody got 2.7 million Ghana cedis, put it in a bag. Some people even stealing from the bag. The person is being hailed. How will you feel? Like you who have sacrificed, so how will you feel? The next time, maybe if you get, will you? But may God forbid, because if you raise money in the name of your party, you must spend it in the way you went to raise it. Because even your conscience, that comes a morality, that should even guide you that this money is not for me. Even though nobody said Unkuto and your leg will be white, you went to raise it because you drove to that place, or you went round to lobby and get that money. At least you use some for your fuel or something. But at least there should be some thing to show that you have used it for. So we glorify stealing. We glorify hypocrisy in this country.
You see the MC, let me tell you the MC. You know me, I've been a presiding member before.
Okay.
And I've been assemblyman before. You see the MCs, the way they suffer. I'm telling you, the demands from the political parties on their MCs.
Really?
Financial demands. If there's going to be any program.
But the money they generate is supposed to help the
some don't.
I'm telling you, you see, that's the system you are running on. And so you can't
but you can't compare.
You can't do 1 + 1.
Garu with.
You get 2. You want to get different number here, but you're still doing the 1 + 1. So long as you continue to do 1 + 1, the results will be 2. I'm telling you, if you know the kind of, that's why those who have been sacked, they said they were not able to speculations. Allegedly, that they were not able to raise certain. I'm telling you, the demands on them, financial demands on them.
Because I've seen the list.
I know. You cannot compare. You cannot compare. Just said something, and then it brought my mind to. There's this Bible quotation that says that a good name is better than riches. And that's an idiomatic expression. This morning at dawn, I was flipping through Facebook Reels. I have a new addiction for Facebook Reels.
Yeah, me too, like that.
And I saw something on Kwame Nkrumah. where a historian was saying that at the time Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown and his bank account was free, he had only one bank account at Commercial Bank, and that account was frozen. And they were trying to find out which monies came into them. It was only his salary that was coming and that he was withdrawing. And so when they took that away from him, and he had his savings and everything was there, and he had nothing, how his children suffered. And yet, today, the name Kwame Nkrumah resonates more than $1 billion anywhere you go in the world. So it comes back to this, what the old ages say, that a good name is always better than the riches.
Unfortunately, my time is up. Maybe Baumia should speak and then we'll come and respond to it.
We
So
forgot about him, man.
Yeah, let's hear what he has to say tomorrow, and then
Kwame,
subsequent to that.
You have become notorious for this thing.
No, Gabby.
It is 7 minutes to 10. Last week, that is what it will take 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, and then we can address but you use 1 minute to conclude.
There are other programs after, and you have to prepare for those programs. I'm actually supposed to leave.
We are only going to eat KK.
10 minutes. No, we're not going to eat KK, to be honest.
7 minutes.
Today,
we are doing 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Ebo Bachman is a member of Afro-Franto movement. Thank you very much for your time. Brilliant submissions, by the way. Gabriela Tete is the regional communications officer, Central Regional Communications Officer for the NDC. Gabi, thank you very much. Haji Amdatu, incoming chairperson for the CPP. Haja, thank you.
You are my campaign manager. You are my campaign
Of course. But Haja, this thing that you have to win.
I will support you.
But we are supporting. Let me say a special good morning going out to my very good friend and mate, SS mate, Eric Nana Minta, aka Abino. Thank you for watching the show this morning. And also Audi Shak, who is contesting to be the General Secretary of PNC. I think he's one of the few proper human beings left in the PNC.
Hey.
I'm sure there are some other people, but as far as I know, he is one of the few. He's the only patriot left in the PNC, together with a few people. Let me say a special good morning. Yeah, let me say a special good morning to Audi Shak. I wish you all the best. And I do know and pray that you will win the General Secretary position in the PNC. That being said, congratulations to the organizers of Voice Out, Vote Out initiative. Yesterday, you held a public lecture at UPSA. I am privileged to have moderated that. It was a beautifully organized event, and the guest of honor was Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. It was really beautiful. Thank you for the opportunity. And yes, let's pray and hope that things will work out beautifully for you guys. I'll see you tomorrow when I see you. My name is Kwame Usudan, so it's been an absolute pleasure serving you this morning. Bye-bye.
Truly African.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the show. This is The Couch. My name is Amma Pratt. It's our first show of the year. I haven't seen you in 2024. So, official pa. This year, we hope to make, 2024 our best year yet. And so this year, we on The Couch hope for us all to hold our hands and do that, together. And so the shows that we have planned for you have you in mind, but have your growth, and your fulfillment if that's, you know, the way to put it, in mind. So welcome to the show. Today our conversation is one that I'm eager for. I need this conversation. I'm sure you do too. It's a new year, you know, we are still in January and the dying numbers of January. Today is the 30th of January. So far, how is it going? Last year, just before the year ended, we had conversations around, you know, journeying into, you know, the best 2024 that you can have. But how is that going? If that's going well, great for you. If it's not, don't worry. You know, we have it on lockdown. I don't mean me. My guest has it on lockdown. So tonight, our conversation is on mindset. Our first conversation is on mindset. Mindset. Think about that. Let me introduce, you know, my guest. My guest for this evening is our man, D-man, lawyer, thinker, coach, Mr. Theodore Albright. It's great to have you back.
It's a privilege to be here.
Official part.
Afisa Sabrani Tinkwem na Bibi Akoso Afibo.
Amen.
Yeah, Tinkwem.
Amen. I mean, it's been tough. It's just, what, 1 month in,
yeah.
and I'm already feeling the pressure of 2024. It's like January gave me the welcome that I, you know, January was like, well, hello.
Yeah.
So January's been really, really tough for me. I don't know about you or anybody else, but for me, everything has happened in January. Everything, right? It seems so overwhelming, you know. And I was telling you before we came on air that I blame you for that, because, you know, you gave me vim and prepped me up, and so this, maybe I took on too much. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But our conversation today is on mindset.
Yeah.
You know, and for me personally, you know, I know how you would tackle it for everybody else. For me personally, it will probably be about getting my mind right and centering myself.
Yes.
You know, and being able to sort of be and give of my best.
Yeah.
When you say mindset, what is it?